A very good morning from wherever you are watching us from. This is Active Way. Today is Thursday and it's a special day this morning because we are going to have a conversation as we usually do behind the face, but for today we are going to change a little bit just for today, just to bring to your attention the PCEA Church is celebrating 100 years since the ordination of its first African ministers, and the D-Day will be on Sunday. Yes, mark that, this Sunday, and this will be happening at the PCEA Church of the Torch, Kikuyu. And to have that conversation in studio this morning with me, I'm joined by Reverend Dr. Karemi Mumbori. He is a parish minister, Kamoshege, and that is in Kiamathare Presbytery. Good morning, Reverend.
Good morning, Wajiko.
How are you?
I'm doing well, thank God.
Thank you for blessing us with your time this morning.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me.
You're welcome.
Yes.
100 years.
Okay.
We'll have that conversation.
100 years.
Say hi to our audience and welcome them.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Karemi, the minister in charge of Kamoshege Parish in Kiamadhara Presbytery, and I love the Lord as my personal savior. Welcome to the conversation this morning. God bless you.
Well, let's break the ice a bit.
Yes.
Can we?
Go ahead. You invited me, so.
I know you've been in ministry for some time. How many years? 20?
Now this is my 30th year.
30th year?
Yes.
Wow. 2 key lessons.
Yes.
2. I know there are many, but the very key ones, just 2. That you want to share with us that you've learned in your journey for the 30 years you've been in ministry. 2 key lessons.
2 key lessons. The need to listen to the one who called me. That is one. The second thing is something that I was taught in church administration by Dr. Kimani Chege. A parish imitates the minister.
Wait, the parish imitates
the minister. So if you are a poor timekeeper, don't expect the parish to keep time. And vice versa.
Yes. Well, that's interesting. The parish imitates the minister.
Yes.
So if you want to know how the parish is, look at the minister.
Kind of.
And when you see the minister, that's how the parish is.
Yes.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yes.
We're here for the conversation, 100 years.
Yes.
And just to let our audience know, this happened in 1926.
Yes.
3 ministers were ordained at the Kikuyu mission area, and the other 5 at Tomo Tomo.
Yes.
How significant is this celebration to you first as an individual before we even get to the church at large?
Actually, the issue of celebrations and remembering 100 years is a milestone. And this should not be taken lightly because it portends a lot for the church. When I think about the centenary celebrations of the church in 1991, because I participated as a youth leader, I was a member of the Central Youth Committee at that time. The whole thing about the centenary celebrations had taken root. It had been publicized. There were uniforms, you were wearing white t-shirts with a logo. And that changed the direction of the church. Now, remember at the culmination of the celebrations at Togoto, when the then moderator, very Reverend Bernard Muindi, saying at Togoto, let the church be the church. And now that we are celebrating 100 years of the ordination of the first African PCEA ministers, I wish I would hear that kind of a message. Let the ministry be the ministry. Because somehow if you look at things, there are some things that have that have actually forced the ministry to be defracted. It's not as it was in terms of expectation and in terms of practice. There were those that sacrificed. Now the concept of sacrificing for the ministry is gradually being diminished. Sometimes we do some of the ministry work out of convenience and for our own sake, rather than for the sake of the flock. You know, God will not call you and bring you into ministry until there is a flock somewhere that is awaiting you to serve. And as a result, I find it a little bit difficult to think about ministry in the way it is in the modern world. In those days, you were ready to be posted anywhere. You were open to God, and God can send you even in places where you had never imagined. Like when we went to the studies and in the diaspora, nobody ever anticipated the fact that you can establish churches in diaspora. When we were studying theology at St. Paul's United Theological Seminary then, college in Nirmuru, we were not prepared for that kind of a ministry. We were only prepared for the structured ministry, PCEA ministry. No one ever told us that you can go and plant churches. No. So when we come to the celebration of 100 years of the ordained ministry, I would expect the church to come up with a direction that embraces all, including those that are in the diaspora, because the world has become a global village. Have we? Probably yes, and probably no, because we have not formalized or put it in the structures of the church that we have. Some people out there, like the way the Church of Scotland Mission did their work of establishing the mission here, that was recognized as an overseas presbytery of the Church of Scotland. We have had General Assemblies that have discussed the issue of the overseas presbyteries. Actually, it has been passed by 3 different General Assemblies. Has it been implemented?
Hold it there. I know you're very passionate when it comes to ministry in the diaspora, because you've been there at some point.
Yes.
And I know we have that discussion on what needs to be done and how can we make the next century to be better. So hold that thought there.
I will.
No, the first ministers who laid the foundation,
yes,
they did ministry when there were even no phones. Actually, you just told me the phones came the other day. There were no vehicles, there were no allowances. There was totally nothing.
Yes.
What was the driving force? What do you think was driving them into ministry? Because looking at how things were then and now, what was the motivation?
The call, definitely. Because if you think about the people that God has called into ministry, you evaluate their backgrounds. Some of us, if it was a human design, we would not be in the ministry. But God called us from places that you would not expect. Some in different careers, others busy doing some other things. And then all of a sudden, God puts in you the call and forces the direction of your life that you be in the ministry. So we have to continually remember that the ministry is basically about doing the will of the one that has called us. Because we are not going because others did it or following the steps of others. Maybe the others, those that were ahead of us, set the pace. They showed us what it means to be in the ministry. But the bottom line is that the ministry is supposed to be as God expects of those that are in the ministry. God will never call you if there is no flock somewhere. And so we have to keep listening to this God so that he can tell you why he called you and what he expects of the flock that he has called you to minister to. That flock may not necessarily be the one that you are thinking about. And I always like to think about the ministry in terms of what Jesus was said in his prayer. That he was conscious of the fact that this cup is too heavy for him. But he finished by saying, nevertheless, not my will, but thy will be done. So the ministry should be in the same manner. Not my will, but the will of God. But how are we going to know the will of God? We have to listen, to be responsive to him who called us.
Wow, it's about the call.
Yes.
But looking nowadays, there are people are doing ministry for different reasons. The motivations are different.
Yeah, but Jesus also said, you know them by their fruits. So if you're not doing the ministry because of the call, we don't have to go very far before we know that it's not the call that brought you into the ministry. So when you are in the ministry because you are called, then rest assured that you bear fruits in the ministry. You do it in accordance with the will of the one that has called you, not the way you want it to be.
Not the way you want it. God's way.
God's ways.
If you're just joining us, this is CAC TV and the show that is on air. We're having a special edition this morning because of the Centennial celebrations that will be happening on Sunday. We're going to talk about that in a few. The PCEA Church is celebrating 100 years since the ordination of the first African ministers. And I've just mentioned earlier on, this happened. 3 of them were ordained at the Thogoto Mission area. That was in 1926 on 7th March to be precise, and the other 5 ministers were ordained at the Tomotomo Mission area. That was on the 14th of March 1926. And so this Sunday the church will be celebrating 100 years, and with all the reasons to join in the celebrations. And so mark that. Keep it in prayer, pray about it, and if you can support in whichever way, please do it. And this morning, in studio to have this conversation with me, I'm your host, Wanjiko Kamau, joined by Reverend Dr. Karemi Moboy from Kamushege, that is in Kemadare Presbytery. And we are live on all our socials, so if you want to ask a question, if you have a comment, please do feel free, and we'll be glad to give you a shout out, Rev.
Yes.
How different is the church now from the 1926 church that we are talking about? The 100 years, what achievements, what can we say?
Difference or the achievements?
Achievements, let's start with the achievements. What achievements are there?
Of course, the growth of the church. There were very few members. That time was the missionary era. We are doing ministry at a time that people can read the Bible for themselves. That time, sometimes I want to think about those ministers that were ordained in 1926. And I wondered, how could they communicate with the missionaries? They had not studied English. But God in his own miraculous ways ensured that these people will understand what they were being taught in terms of the ministry, although they had not gone through formal education. So, when you imagine what was going on then, just because somebody has accepted, and you know those days it was not about salvation, it was about somebody who has accepted to go through education, the missionary education. Ndio maana unasikia some places were being called Mabere, the Goto and Tumutumu Mabere. It was the training of the very first people that accepted to go to school. The missionaries did not really preach about salvation. Actually, the whole issue of salvation has been a product of the East African revival movement. I know there were several ministers in the beginning that were not even saved, but they were ordained. So the ministry has changed. It has changed in the sense that the parameters of operation are quite different. We are now educated. We are now dealing with technology. We are now dealing with established churches and parishes. We no longer, except maybe in the missionary areas, we no longer have mad ward sanctuaries. Now we have cathedrals. Now we have public address systems. Now, in terms of movement, those ministers did not have a way of moving from one place to another. As I was interviewing some of them in the legends, they were telling me that they used to move from one congregation to the other, and it will take weeks before they go back to the months, because you take a week in this congregation, another week in the other one, and the movement, not even bicycles, but walking from one place to the other, spending the nights in those areas. Today you only need...
Can they do that today with... Talking of the call.
Are you kidding me? How? Some of us cannot even understand, even try to imagine that something like that can happen. We have joined the ministry where we have luxuries. If you call it, actually a car in the ministry is not a luxury, but some of us joined the ministry where you stay in the parish without a car for quite a while before you can even have a way of acquiring one. But all what I'm trying to say is the whole concept of ministry has changed. It has changed because modernity has taken root. In the era of social media, we discuss now matters of the church openly. That could not happen Even when we were joining the ministry, you could not discuss matters of the church openly.
And is it right? Now that you brought it up, maybe we can have that conversation now in the ECS Cape. Is it the right way to go, or should we look for other better channels whereby we can air our dirty, I would call it airing our dirty linen in public? Some people think it's okay. I don't know what your thought is.
It could be okay in one way or the other, but at the same time, the social media has no boundaries. Negative issues of the church are being discussed by non-members, non-Christians, people in other denominations, because they can access the information or matters pertaining to the church on social media. That is the problem. It has no boundaries. Whether it is okay or not okay, I'll leave it to individual judgment. But personally, I was ordained at a time that you could not do that. We had no social media. The phones as we have, the mobile phones have come into the scene when we are already in the ministry. So the only avenue of the media of communication was the physically written minutes of the court of KBC.
Oh yeah, then it was, and it would shut down at some time.
Yes.
Wow. What lessons can we learn from the contributions that were made by the first ministers who laid the foundation, compared to the kind of ministers that we have now, and where the ministry is, like we are saying, things have changed. We're in the era of technology, unlike then. I know the luxuries, although you said it's not a luxury. So what lessons can we learn from the ministers who are there ahead?
One is to be selfless. Being selfless, because the ministry is not about us. It is that selflessness that made those men travel and walk long distances just for the sake of the kingdom. Just for the sake of the kingdom. The other thing is that you get the concept of being pathfinders. Pathfinders in the sense that these people charted the paths that we are following, and they had no experience. There was no one to teach them. Today, being posted to a mission area is becoming a problem. So I think those men were quite selfless. They sacrificed a lot for the church to be where it is.
Why is the sacrifice lacking in the times that we are in?
That is something that is very difficult to say. It depends on the individual minister. The concept of sacrifice is not there. But sacrifice can be there if we were listening to God. Because God, sometimes in the ministry, will make you move to areas that you do not even understand. You keep yourself open. Like the way now we want to petition that you want, seek to be posted to an area that you are desiring. No. When I was being ordained, I said I'll be open to wherever God wants to send me. And so wherever God wants me to go, I should go with an open mind, because I don't know the sacrifices that God wants me to make for that particular charge or station. So we discuss sometimes with people, and then you hear ministers feel that like so and so has been posted there, and then some of the postings are perceived to be disciplinary. No.
If you are taken to Nendeni, then there is no problem with you.
We should go there with an open mind. We should go there with an open mind. Like now, my experience in the diaspora, it was not easy to establish a church in the diaspora. There was nobody to run from.
Could it be the issue of resources? Probably that's why people are afraid, because also ministries is costly right now. It's expensive. So
Yes,
that's
yes
the
and
reason
no.
why.
Yes and no. Because sacrifice does not necessarily come with the resources dimension. Sacrificing sometimes involves even leaving your comfort zone. When you listen to God, you hear God telling you that this is where I want you to be. That does not, this God who calls also provides. He also provides. The only thing that we are thinking about is that the provisions that we want is what we want, probably not what God wants for us. Yes.
So listening from God and knowing what He wants for you.
Yes.
You can share with us your experience in the diaspora when you just talked about starting ministry there compared to here, just in 1 minute.
It was not very easy because it was uncharted territories. And you're bringing together community of people that have come so far away from their families and their country, and you're bringing them together to create a worshiping community. Many of them were previously never members of any church. Others here are coming. There are some who are coming to church not because of anything, but because they can buy influence because they have the resources. But you're bringing them together and directing them to accept their church membership with a lot of humility. That is not very easy. It wasn't very easy, but at the same time, when you build the church, like now, we as Presbyterians should never personalize the church. And in diaspora, you come across churches that zinaitanishwa na mtu. And that's something I didn't like. I didn't like it. People calling or referring to the church in Boston,
So and so.
Kwa Karemi. I didn't like it. And I was actually asking God, how do I get away from this? And when God told me to come back, I could not go against that.
You're comfortable with it.
I was very comfortable and I was open to the directions of God because it's God who called me. And then we have to establish, to do it in such a way that the church continues after you. Because I never created it for myself. What if something happened? I fell sick or even die. Should that church die? So we have to put in structures that ensure that that church outlives you and continues with the work of ministry. So it's not easy. The resources may be there, but then if you confine the ministry to the resources, that's the beginning of failure.
Oh, it's
Yes.
the beginning of failure. Hold it there. We take a short break. The show that is on here, it's a special edition this morning. Just to bring again to your attention that the PCEA Church is celebrating 100 years since the ordination of its first African ministers. That was the 1926 March 7th at the Kikuyu Mission area and 14th Tomotomo Mission area. And so this Sunday the church will be celebrating the milestone 100 years, and we are here to just have a conversation on the celebrations. My guest, Reverend Dr. Karemi Momboi from Kamushege and Kiamathare. There are many Meshages there, or why is people say there is power in a name. Probably there were Meshages.
I don't know.
That's in Kiamathare Presbytery. My name is Anchiko Kama. We'll be back in a few. Umeniambia niende break.
I take this opportunity to welcome you to this beautiful, serene, and lush learning environment. We have taken care and we are intentional to ensure that your stay here is beautiful, memorable, and fun-filled.
Welcome back. You're watching CAC TV this morning, the show that is on air behind the face. But today we're having a special edition because bringing to your attention once again, I keep doing this over and over again. The PCEA Church will be celebrating 100 years, and that will be on Sunday at the PCEA Church of the Torch. The church will be celebrating 100 years since the ordination of its very first ministers. And I'll keep bringing again to your attention, this was done in 1926, 7th March. It was done at PCA, at the mission area in Kikuyu, and the other 5 on the 14th of March, 1926 at Tomo mission area. It's good, Rev, to let our viewers know that we have mission areas in PCA, and Kikuyu happens to be one of the mission area. There is Tomo, there is Kambo, each other one, there is Kibwezi.
It's Chogoria. Kambo used to belong to the GMS.
Ah.
It's Kikuyu, Tomo, and Chogoria. The regional mission areas. Yes.
What is a mission area?
No,
because we might keep saying the mission area, and people might not understand.
The way it started, the missionaries first settled at Kikuyu, and they did mission work in Kikuyu. When the mission at Kikuyu became established, they went and established now the mission center at Tumutumu and then Chogoria. Yes. Well,
that's why they're still called the mission areas up to now. What are some of the challenges? You've talked about quite a number about in the ministry right now, the ministers are facing. Maybe you can help us understand what are some of the challenges now that you're in the ministry, that the ministers are facing as they serve in the times that we are in, 100 years later.
108 years later.
Yeah.
One is the issue of expectation. The expectations from the ministers is high. There's also the issue of competition with Pentecostalism or other non-mainline denominations. The issue of the movement of members from one denomination to the other. The older generation, once you become a Presbyterian, you died a Presbyterian. You heard people say, Mimi PCA Damu.
Very true.
Today, this free-for-all kind of a ministry, you can move from this denomination to the other, you move from this church to the other, and then come back and stuff like that. That's a challenge. Then there are also challenges that I've seen in the church today. There are the effects of the rural-urban migration. The church in the rural areas is becoming weaker and weaker. Then when you come to the urban areas, the sanctuaries are big, they are cathedrals. And because many people are moving from the rural areas. Other challenges are the issue of economics. There are so many financial demands, even for the ministers. When you're in the parish and you may not have a good financial foundation, and the members come begging for assistance from ministers, that is not very easy. It's not very easy. So, and then the issue of the social issues, like the issue of health. There are many people that are actually falling sick with different ailments. And all these cases fall in the hands of the minister. When you're a minister, you're also supposed to create time to visit your members while they're in hospitals. You're supposed to mourn with the families as they are mourning, comfort them, and they're performing burials. And the movement and the demands, the MMF, all those are expectations that sometimes become a challenge for the ministers.
Are we doing anything, or we're just silent? Are we working towards these challenges? And I'll just mention one of the challenges that you said, people moving from the mainstream to the Pentecostal churches. Do you think we need to do things differently so that we can match? Because we need to ask ourselves, why are people moving from the mainstream churches to the Pentecostal churches? Is there something that we are not doing, they are doing, or is there something we are doing, they are not doing?
Yes and no. We have just come to an era where people want to experiment, and especially the younger generation. Sometimes you don't move because there is something they are doing better than you. It's just experimenting. You want to worship here this Sunday, the next Sunday you worship somewhere else. That could be the problem. And then the issue of settlement. You may have settled in an area where there is no PCA church in the neighborhood. You want to go to just the one that is right next to you. I believe, then you also understand when you're dealing with the Pentecostal churches, you have several pastors, everybody in charge of a different ministry. When you come to the PCA, the minister, you are the priest, you are the one that is doing marriage counseling, you are a jack of all trades, except for the responsibilities that can be done by the evangelist and the elders. But some of these responsibilities are supposed to be done by the ministers. We delegate to the evangelist or to the elders. But there are some when you delegate becomes a problem, like the issue of funeral services. Personally, I find it a missed opportunity when you fail to perform a funeral service for some so-and-so because they are not full members of the church. It's a missed opportunity in the sense that the people that are grieving the death of their loved one who was not a member of the church, are they themselves members of the church? So you miss an opportunity to comfort the family and to minister to the people that you come to the gathering. We spend a lot of time, money, organizing conventions and crusades, a lot of money. But then a funeral service is a free
area to evangelizing.
A free convention. People called by God, you don't pay anything.
Very true.
It becomes a missed opportunity. But at the same time, you see, it may not be the minister to blame. It may be the demands, the amount of work that they have. But personally, I try to perform all the funeral services, regardless
of who has died.
Yes.
Wow, that's interesting. I've had very many cases of people not being buried because they were not full members. Probably not the question we need to ask ourselves is, going forward, how can we make things better? And that's where I bring another question of the next century. What things need to be done differently?
I think there needs to be some objective research with people who are well versed with the changing times. People that can sit down and advise on the direction the church should take. And this is where we need to establish church, the committees like the theological desk. Because there's also some things that we are doing today in the ministry that are bordering on heresy. The theological foundation of the church is becoming weakened. Some of the things that we are doing, we are copying from other denominations, regardless of their theological foundations. So I think we need some well-informed and researched guidelines on the direction to take. We cannot operate ministry the way we used to operate 50 years ago. No, the world is changing. We need to craft a unique ministry, a ministry that is uniquely Presbyterian and mainline, with a very strong theological base. Yes.
Talking of theological base, we know what we teach and the theology that is taught in PC, but is it at risk? Because recently I saw some ministers doing some stuff which we are not used to seeing in PCA, and are we diverting from who we are to copying what other denominations are doing, probably to fit in? What are your thoughts?
The theology that we are taught is adequate. But sometimes we tend to drift to the things that are impressing the members, or you're trying to do things so that the members can think, you want to become a popular minister. So you ignore your theological foundation to please the members, and especially the young generation. In the final analysis, what you do is you weaken the church. Because right now, our church has a very strong governance system. Very strong governance system. Everything. If you study the Constitution, which is the PP, everything that we want to address, you get a way of resolving that issue from the PP or from the Bible. But then, when you weaken the theological base of the church, it is neither here nor there. How do you resolve that? And then, when you do it in the parish where you are working today, and you go to another parish, the minister who succeeds you now is not received well when you start to re-establish the theological base, members think, no.
You know, you're the one who comes in is a bad one now.
The things that are not theological sometimes are perceived to be spiritual.
True.
And when you are in pursuit of the spiritual, neglect the important. So ministry is somehow becoming sacrificed at the altar of the political impedient at that time. So we need to be very careful. And then also the church should be wary of the political arena. Right now we are heading towards the general elections.
Yeah.
We need to have a well discussed and formulated action. How do we deal with the politicians when they come to church? So that when what I do at Kamushege is the same thing that will be done in my neighboring parish and in the neighboring presbytery and everywhere. Right now we have not done that. We are fighting ministers. You see a politician and then you think the members, you think that you ignore the politician, you give them the platform. This is a worship service. What is a worship service? It is a service to bring glory to God. When you bring in a politician, what are you doing? Is he bringing glory to God or to themselves? But at the same time, because we have been inviting them, when we think about the financial aspect or the base of the church, we invite them because of the money. So now, the heart that is feeding you is very difficult. You cannot cut it. So it becomes a problem. We need, these are things that needs to be addressed. Yes.
And who should address them?
Well, it's the denomination. We can have, some committees to sit down and give us a way forward, especially now. Let a group of ministers come, or even a group of members of the business committee, or a team that will come and reason. How do we deal with the political class? And when I allow the politician, the MP to address the congregation, I should also give the aspiring MP.
Very true.
So, and some aspiring MPs may be 10. Then you are actually diverting the cause of worship from worship to political speeches. I find myself quite uncomfortable with politicians in the church. So
we are saying it should be managed, and the person to manage at the congregation level is the parish minister, because you are the one in charge of your parish. You are the one who will say so and so can speak, or so and so should not speak, right?
Yes, but then you as a parish minister would want to manage the situation. But then when you read in the papers, in another service somewhere, probably with the leaders of the presbytery or even the general leaders, in another service somewhere, the politicians were given the platform. So the members, you see you as not really following what is being done.
This you are the bad one.
Yeah, you're the bad ones. I think we need to come up with a way to deal with this matter, so that the church can maintain the prophetic voice. We cannot really give our prophetic voice to the political class when we are involved with them. Yes.
Wow, that's profound, and I believe people will take action, because like you just said, the elections are coming next year, and the politicians really want to use the churches just to pass their agenda. How easy or difficult is it in the times that we are in for one to be a minister in PCEA? Is it a challenge? Because I've seen people diverting from the mainstream PCEA because they were not able to become ministers and go to other places, and in a blink of an eye, they're able to be ordained as ministers.
Did you ask how easy it is
How difficult
to be a minister or to get into the ministry? You're talking about others leaving to go to other denominations. So do you want me to address, is it to be a minister or to get into the ministry?
Both.
Both.
Yes.
If you're a minister, it can be easy when you do things in such a manner that nobody can raise a figure against you. So do the right things. And when you listen to God directing you on what to do, you have a questionable, an unquestionable ministry. In terms of joining the ministry, the numbers are many now, people who are aspiring to become ministers. And it is not easy to accommodate all of them. No, the people that apply to join the ministry, the PCA cannot accommodate even a third of them, or even a quarter. There are so many that apply to join the ministry, and that's why the interviews are being done, so that we can assess who has a genuine call, and then we recruit depending on our needs. Much as we need more ministers, we can only recruit this number because even the economic aspect of the church has to be considered. So joining the ministry could be easy if you're genuinely called and prepared for it. But it may also be difficult if you don't have a genuine call. Yes.
So having been in ministry for the last 30 years, you said.
Plus.
30 years plus. What advice would you give to young ministers who are joining ministry?
Joining ministry.
As we start a new century.
Remember who called you and whose you are. When you remember that you were called by God and you belong to God and the ministry belongs to God, then you keep listening to what God tells you to do. That is one. The second thing, don't be ambitious.
Ambition.
Don't be ambitious. Just let God work in and through you. Because you might see Karemi where Karemi is. I didn't come to the level I'm in overnight. It's been many years of doing things and learning from my seniors and those that were before me and my colleagues. Not just my seniors. You can even learn from your juniors. There's some people that have come to the ministry after you that have very good ideas. Listen to them. Give every person the voice. That's why we are ministers. When we come to a meeting in a presbytery, allow everybody to speak. Whether you agree with them or not, listen to them. And then if the idea is not good, then you have room to guide them. So, but we learn from one another. Fraternal meetings have been very productive for me, where we sit down and discuss and you listen to every minister, even when they are not bringing very good ideas. It's a learning moment. Because as you are responding from different persons, you get to learn something new. So in the ministry, you have to be open to learning. And you can only be open to learning when you become a very good listener. Become a very good listener, both to God and also to all the people that God puts in your way. You know, even a Sunday school kid can teach you some things. So when you are a listener, and you listen objectively without being judgmental, then you can learn. And again, understand when somebody comes to you, and especially a colleague wants to share something with you, some of them are going through very difficult situations. Listen to them. Don't judge them. We are not angels. We are human beings. We are subject to all the other issues that affect other human beings. So understand. Sometimes we are very quick to judge the ministers. Sometimes as members we put ministers at a pedestal position. Sure. We judge them from the ministry. We actually even remove their identity. When you are dealing with my wife, she's not just the teacher or the nurse or the other, that other profession. She's just the minister's wife. We don't call the doctor's wife the doctor's wife. They have their names.
Very true.
We don't call the teacher's wife the teacher's wife. They have their names. Why can't we refer to the minister's wife by their name? The minister's kids by who they are,
by their names. PK.
By their names, by who they are. Allow them to have to craft their own identity, not necessarily an identity that is tied to the ministry that their parents are undertaking.
We see you like small gods.
Yeah, which is erroneous. We are human beings. We only represent God. Representing God in his mission on earth does not make you a God. And woe to you if you swim in that presumed godliness. No. You remember every time that you are human. And one of the things to succeed in the ministry is humility. Just be humble. Just be humble. And in humility, you are able to access and you allow all the people, the members to access you. Yes.
Well, say now that you're human, so you weep, I mean, you grieve like the rest of us. You everything that happens to us happens to you. So where do you run to when you probably want to share something? You know, for me, I can comfortably go to someone else and just share. But for you as a minister, people see you like you can't fail, like you can't have issues in life, in marriage, like your children have to be straight. So when you need to share something and also get some advice, where do you go to? Because you advise people. Who advises you?
Every minister must or should have a confidant. A colleague who is a confidant.
Oh, a colleague, not just anyone.
Not just anyone, a colleague who is a confidant. And I'm saying a confidant because there are people that you tell your story and tomorrow what you told them is out there. Like now I have a colleague that we've been close since the days of our studies at St. Paul's. We share anything. And as families, my wife can accuse me to him. His wife can accuse him to me. And when I call him and say, acha ujinga, nimeambiwa umefanya. He doesn't feel as if
offended.
Yeah, offended or as if the wife made a mistake. No. We share a lot in ministry. Every minister needs a confidant. We are human, we have to remember that. And those of us that somebody appoints to be their confidant, please, for goodness sake, keep your discussions in confidence. Keep your discussions in confidence. I've listened to stories of so many people, and I cannot share. I cannot share. We can only uphold the institution of the ministry, uphold the integrity of the pastoral ministry by keeping matters in confidence. Yes.
Confidentiality. Someone was making a joke of how she went into a restaurant and no, it's a member who went into a restaurant and found the parish minister taking githeri or something of that kind, and the member was like, Korea githeri.
Yes.
And then I was like, why should I not do it? I mean, I'm human.
Githeri is my favorite. It is my favorite meal.
No, with 5 more minutes.
Yes.
I have a question for you. In a recent interview, our moderator of the 24th General Assembly, I want to quote something he said, that in the effort of making the church great, sometimes we burnt our fingers, particularly in the areas of investment, and we've started projects that have not benefited the church. This brings note to the challenges that the church is facing right now. So what are your thoughts on this? Because that has been an issue that has really been a thorn in the flesh in our church, even as we start a new century after the celebrations on Sunday.
Now, going back to the missionary approach, the missionaries established the mission centers in 3 dimensions.
Yeah.
School, church, hospital. Many of our parishes have established ministry in the same manner because so many of our parishes have schools. Those are investments. Those are investments. The problem is not investments.
What's the problem?
The problem is running those investments.
Management.
They have to be done in a way that is manageable because our focus of ministry is not the projects, it's not the investments. The core mission is reaching out. So we should have that as a side hustle to help us as a church to do ministry. But when it becomes draining, we should get out of it. Yes. So the church can only become great when we do things the right way. Because we cannot do without money. We cannot do without money. The only thing is that sometimes in pursuit of the money, we sacrifice the important. The important is that money is supposed to be a resource towards making us good missioners. Reach out and grow the church. Yes.
So if the projects are not working, drop them down.
Yes, because if you start finding that you are spending a lot of time on discussing the projects rather than the mission,
You lose it.
You have drifted from the original course. Yes.
Wow. What do you expect on Sunday? What do we expect on Sunday? Celebrations are happening on Sunday. That will be at Dogoto Kemore in Kikuyu. So what should we expect on this day? Because it's a D-Day.
We did the Tumutumu one on 19th of February, and the turn-up by the ministers was high. And of course, we are celebrating the 100 years of the ordained ministry in the PCEA of African ministers. So it is good when the ministers are there to be celebrated, because they are part and parcel of this historical thing. So, and when I go back now to the Centennial celebrations of 1991, I remember the then moderator Muindi saying, let the church be the church. I wish we can come and address the ministry becoming a ministry for the for the next century, 21st and 22nd century. I expect a good turn-up of the ministers. And above everything else, I also expect those ministers that were ordained at Dogoto to be celebrated with their families, to be remembered, and to thank God for the work that they did that time. And also, as a minister, be challenged to leave a legacy. Yes, something that can be celebrated in the future by others. So we are not just in the ministry for this time, we are in the ministry to build a legacy and to leave a mark and to set an example to those that are coming after us.
Wow, talking of a legacy, I'm here wondering, the next generation that will do this 100 years from now, what will they say about you people? What will they say about the current ministers who are there? Here we are talking about Akina Ren, Musa Gitao, and Joshua Matejo and the rest. So 100 years from now, what will they say about the current ministers that we have?
Like the ministers, the missionaries, sometimes one is credited to have said, we came, we saw, we conquered.
Wow.
I wish that could be the case, but that can only be a case when we do it in the right manner, so that we can say that we conquered the environment of the pastoral ministry, rather than the ministry conquering us.
I know.
Because we can be overcome with the challenges and we can also be overwhelmed with the responsibilities that we do not finish strong. So we need to finish strong, so that as they are celebrating us 100 years from now, they can say they were our people.
Wow, and they finished strong.
Yes,
well, anything else you feel you want to share with us? Because now we are ending the show. My time is up. Maybe something you feel you'd want to share before we end.
That the celebration is a good thing. It's good to remember. It's part of remembering our history. It helps us to remember. Like now you were talking about 7th of March at the Kikuyu and 14th of March at Tumutumu. I can't help to imagine when I have been hearing about that. When they had it in Dogoto, how did this group now move to Tumutumu? The means of transportation and the accommodation for the guests and all that. So I want to imagine the ministry becoming something that sets the pace.
Yeah.
And, the ministry is supposed to be, for us, it's supposed to be doing something that is somehow a paradigm shift, not dealing with the normal. But you do it within the system and the expectations. Yes. This church is a reforming church. We need to keep changing things, but we do it gradually in a manner that does not affect the commission. Yes.
Well, thank you so much. Wish you all the best on Sunday.
Thank you.
From here at CAC, we'll definitely follow. And the grace is sufficient. May you continue serving. And once you're gone, the next generation will say, there was a team that came, they saw, and they conquered.
Yes.
All the best. Thank you for blessing us with your time. It was a pleasure having you here. We really do not take it for granted. Thank you so much. And to you, our viewer, I remind you one more time that the PCEA Church is celebrating 100 years since the ordination of the first African ministers, and that happened in 1926, 7th March and 14th March, and these celebrations now will be celebrated on Sunday at the PCEA Kemore, that's Church of the Torch in Kikuyu. So pray for the day and You can follow up on the celebrations from wherever you will be. And from here, we wish you well. Thank you for tuning in. It's been a pleasure doing this. Have a blessed day. I've been your host. Wanchiko Kamau. Keep it calm.